The Bush tax cuts expire. Make sure the middle class
just
don't
go
have
over
to
the
pay.
cliff at this point.
The cliff is a manufactured media drama.
Wow, can you say out of touch? Joining us now from New York is Zerlina Maxwell. She's a Democratic strategist, and Guy Benson. He's the political editor for townhall.com. Okay, this was quite something. Like, we've been hearing from the Obama White House, the Congressional Budget Office, and any number of conservative economists that this is serious, that we got to get this thing done, that we've got to get it in order. Or at some point, America's full faith and credit will, is going to go away. We're not going to look so good to the rest of the world as far as credit risk. So, Zerlina, let's talk to you about this. Is this a manufactured media crisis, or does something substantial need to be done here?
Well, I certainly think that the fiscal cliff, that language, is a manufactured media narrative that makes Americans believe that on January 1, we're going to be standing on lines for bread. That's not what's going to happen. I think that the manufactured part of the crisis is that this is all because Congress kicked the can down the road after the debt ceiling, which was a real crisis. And so by not completely resolving that issue in a substantive manner, we now are here at this fiscal slope, as I like to call it, not cliff.
Well, presumably, no matter what you say about what happened a year and a half ago, the president was part of that equation, right? I mean, he is the president of the United States, so he deserves some responsibility for that as well.
And he doesn't pass laws.
That's for sure. And the Democrats never, didn't get around to actually passing a budget. And so we need to move on to that, Guy. Look, we're going to have millions of Americans affected by these tax increases, but the Republicans have only so much leverage. I mean, they can want to have more leverage than they have, but in effect, they don't have a lot of power here, do they?
Not really, and I think we learned that more than anything last week, where Speaker Boehner got kneecapped by his own party, which diminished his leverage even further. But look, the fact is we can go back, as you said, to the debt ceiling debate. The only reason we keep having these cliffs and crises is because Democrats, particularly in the Senate, have completely abandoned the legally mandated budgeting process. We have not had a budget in this country for 3 years. That's why we keep having all these high-stakes crises where we're really worried about some deadline that's looming. If we just passed budgets the way we were supposed to and the way the law necessitates, we wouldn't be having any of these problems, but we've had them year after year. The American people are so weary of this, Laura.
And I love the fact, Zerlina, that the New York Times, once again, it's like that time of year, I got to look at my watch, the New York Times is going to attack the Tea Party, which they did today. Said, well, the Tea Party has a little narrowing influence, they're really on the ropes, that kind of thing. And as if the Tea Party is in charge of the White House and the Senate. I mean, you could say the Tea Party maybe pick some bad candidates this time around, but the idea that the president and Harry Reid in the Senate don't have enormous power to either get a deal done or stay here and don't go away for the holidays. Maybe go to Camp David like President Bush did only 8 times and actually get the job done for the American people. But it's convenient to say, well, it's the Tea Party's fault.
No, I'm not here to scapegoat anyone. I think that obviously, Americans know that we have 3 branches of government. Nothing can get passed unless the Senate and House both pass bills, right? So the Tea Party is a part of the equation. They do not have the amount of influence that they had before, but they certainly are necessary to come to some sort of deal here if we're going to get anything done before January 1. But I think the bottom line is this. We do not have a short-term deficit crisis. I agree with Katrina Vanden Heuvel on that point. We have a revenue problem and a growth problem. We have millions of Americans out of work. That
Zerlina, you can raise taxes on people like me to 90%
into the system by paying taxes
Zerlina,
on income.
Zerlina, you have to be better at math than that. I mean,
I'm very good at math,
90% tax rate on the upper income level in the United States is a drop in the bucket. It is not what we need to get this economy going.
That's not what I said. I didn't.
But you said we have a revenues problem.
We
have a jobs problem. We have a spending problem. Millions of people are out of work and they are not paying taxes on income they're not receiving. And also, those individuals are getting unemployment insurance, and that's spending that the government wouldn't have to do if we put those Americans back to work. That's where we need to be focused. None of it's Obama's fault, but it is the Tea Party's fault.
No, I didn't blame it on the Tea Party.
Laura, there's something.
Let's go ahead. Guy, go ahead.
The one thing I also can't understand here is I can agree with Katrina saying that we have a growth and jobs problem. And how is the solution raising taxes on job creators? I missed that memo. It doesn't really make sense to me. And I'm sorry, if you're going to say we don't have a short-term deficit problem, we've had 4 straight $1 trillion deficits. At what point does that become a problem?
Half of that is because of the economic crisis. $600 billion of that is because of the economic crisis.
What did the president say when he came into office?
On jobs. I'm saying that it's not the only the president that is in power. Republicans are also in charge of one of the branches of government. And I didn't blame the Tea Party, Laura. I didn't even say that.
That's good. That's good that we're saying that, because some of your other friends, not your friends, but your philosophical friends, I think it's going to be the intransigence of the Tea Party once again. Ms. Maxwell, Mr. Benson, great to see you. And directly ahead, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton